Good morning and happy 4th of July. We are hopefully going to find out the truth about who killed the Al Jazeera journalist Shireen Abu Akleh, because the Palestinian Authority finally released the bullet to a team of U.S. experts, who are in turn giving it to a team of Israeli experts to conduct the necessary tests in cooperation with the U.S. Young Palestinian teenagers brandish weapons at a Fatah rally in Jenin, openly praising the murderers of Jewish civilians. Yair Lapid also opened his first cabinet meeting as prime minister yesterday, setting the goals of his new government. And Uber is coming to Israel, although it may not work exactly like you think. I'm Josiah, and this is the Israel Guys Daily. Welcome to the Israel Guys Daily, where we cut through the fog of fake news to bring you the accurate headlines from Israel. Good morning, guys. If you're watching this on YouTube and you haven't subscribed, what are you doing? Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Hit the notification so you can receive all the content. We're bringing you content multiple times a week now on YouTube. We have the Israel Guys Daily Show, as well as Luke and Joshua's show comes out on Thursdays as well. And we may even be having more content coming out soon throughout the week. So go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss any of this important news coming from Israel, the accurate headlines. We're reporting straight from Israel. If you've been listening on podcast platform, thank you so much. We really appreciate it. And also go ahead and follow us. Follow us on Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, wherever you're listening from, and write us a 5-star review. Really helps, really promotes it to more people, gets it out there so more people can hear the truth about Israel. Also, to all my fellow Americans who are watching the show today, happy 4th of July. Today, we're celebrating the 246th anniversary of America declaring independence in 1776. So go ahead and give your neighbor a congratulations and hope you have a good cookout, good grill out. 4th of July is all about eating good food, at least it is in my book, and good fireworks. Maybe we can get some complimentary fireworks up here on the screen as well for the show today. All right, jumping in here to what's happening here in Israel. First off, Israel is finally, looks like they're going to receive the bullet that the bullet that killed Shireen Abu Akleh, the journalist, Al Jazeera journalist, May 11th, tragically was hit in an exchange of gunfire between the IDF and Palestinian terrorists. They have been unable to determine who actually shot the bullet. The IDF says they do not think they shot her, but they're willing to take responsibility if indeed it proves to be the case. If there's a joint investigation conducted with Israel and the Palestinian Authority, the Palestinians claim that Israel did it, and under no circumstances did their gunmen shoot this journalist here. So just 2 days ago, the Palestinian Authority Attorney General Khatib told the media that the bullet had been handed over to a U.S. team of experts who had actually come here specifically for this purpose. They also declared explicitly that Israel would not have access to the bullet. And up until this point, the Palestinian Authority has been very, very strict and very specific in saying that they will not release the bullet for investigation to Israel, for Israel to investigate what actually happened and to do the necessary forensics tests and ballistics test on this bullet to see if they can figure out who it came from, the IDF or the Palestinian terrorists. The PA Attorney General Khatib said, quote, approval has been given for the American side to conduct a forensics examination of the bullet that killed journalist Shireen Abu Akleh. The bullet will not be turned over to Israel. They even said that ahead of the transfer, that Ramallah had received guarantees from the U.S. that the bullet would be examined by American officials only and would not be submitted to Israeli investigators. So apparently, according to the PA, they were very strict about making sure Israel was not able to investigate this bullet, which is very strange. If you're really trying to come to the truth, why not let the opposite side also have access to the evidence and be able to determine and investigate, put their own investigation into it? So even though the Palestinian Authority seems they're very stringent about not letting Israel receive the bullet, it seems that the U.S. team is working in cooperation with Israel on this investigation and the testing here. The IDF spokesperson, Brigadier General Ron Kochav, said yesterday that the bullet would undergo Israeli forensics tests. He said, quote, the test will not be American. The test will be an Israeli test with an American presence throughout. And this hopefully will be a good thing here because if indeed the IDF tests the bullet and they are able to determine a match, if they can determine where the bullet actually came from, and it turns out that the Palestinian gunman did indeed shoot this bullet, and Israel's investigation turns out that the Palestinians are to blame, the Palestinian Authority is to blame here, then if Israel is overseeing this and present throughout this investigation, America will not be able to condemn Israel or refute their investigation here because they were indeed a part of it. So that is a good thing if that is indeed the outcome. It is possible, though, that the outcome will be that the bullet came from an Israeli rifle. It is possible. The Israelis say they do not think so. They did not identify shooting any hits during this firefight between them and the Palestinian terrorists inside the Jenin refugee camp. But here's the key point. The Israelis, the IDF, said that if it turns out they did shoot her and they are responsible, then Israel will take full responsibility for her death. This is in stark contrast to the other side, where the Palestinian Authority has not said anything even close to the statement, saying that they haven't even suggested the possibility that they were to blame, only blaming Israel, and immediately coming out after this happened in blame for Israel. And I might add that pretty much all of the mainstream media, entire world news around the world, blamed Israel immediately as well. Even some officials from the U.S. putting the blame on Israel when there was no concrete evidence, there was no real facts on the ground yet. Nobody really had any idea what's happening, but people immediately still blamed Israel. Except for the Israel Guys Daily. Got to put a plug in there. We were reporting the facts that we had, the facts that came from Israel here, the front lines where we're at, telling you the truth about what's going on. So it is possible that Israel isn't responsible, and if that is the case, they will take responsibility. The Kochav, the IDF spokesperson, said yesterday as well, quote, "We are waiting for the test results. If they show we killed her, then we will take responsibility. If the bullet can be matched, then it will be matched. If we can't make a determination, there won't be a determination. If it can be determined that she was killed by armed Palestinians, then the Palestinians will be responsible." He also added, interestingly enough, that in any scenario, that Israel deeply regrets Abu Akleh's death. That Israel is not happy about. They do not want this to happen. This is obviously do not want journalists to be killed in the line of duty reporting on what's happening here in Israel. They deeply regret it, but they are willing to take responsibility if it indeed is the case, whereas the Palestinians have not made a statement likewise saying that they are willing to take responsibility for this. So this kind of shows you the two sides we're dealing with. This is the Palestinian terrorist and the Israeli army. A very moral army, I might add, and very highly trained. These soldiers are highly trained. So for them to accidentally hit a Palestinian journalist while they are in a fight with these terrorists is highly, highly unlikely. But we will hopefully see the results in a few days. It's going to take a few days for them to conduct these tests, and we'll see what comes of it in the coming days. And we will be sure to report here at the Israel Guys Daily. Also to emphasize this situation that's in Jenin and why the IDF has to go in and arrest these terrorists, and a lot of time ends up in firefights because these terrorists attack the IDF soldiers who are coming in to arrest them. Why is this happening? And just last week, a rally in Jenin, the Jenin refugee camp, it was a rally for Fatah. Fatah is the political party of the Palestinian Authority. The participants, they had a big rally for Fatah, and the participants, a lot of them seemingly only teenagers, very young men, had weapons, lots of weapons, AR-15s, M16s, that they were holding there. And even I saw the video, we can show some of the clips on the screen right now, but even one of the guys I saw looked like he had to have been only 12, very, very young children with weapons, and these guys are teaching them and spewing propaganda and brainwashing them into hating Israel and this, what do you call it, I guess, Arab Muslim patriotic chants and Allah is great, and the Quran is our constitution. And I just want to read a little bit of what they were talking about in this rally. It kind of shows where these guys are coming from, where the Palestinian Authority and the Palestinian inside of these refugee camps are being taught by their leaders. The Fatah spokesman in Jenin at this rally said, "Oh, free my brothers, the sons of the Jenin refugee camp, the refugee camp of heroes, honorable men, and fighters. O Jenin refugee camp, to which those who walk on our path direct their prayers," and this is obviously translated from Arabic, "and to which fighters make pilgrimage. You breed heroes, you who are the birthplace of martyrs. And when they say martyrs, they're referring to Palestinian terrorists who go out and kill Jews or kill the infidel and are killed at the same time, end up getting themselves killed as well. He goes on and says, Allah is our goal. If you love, and then he talks to the crowd, he said, if you love the martyrs, raise your gun and your index finger. So all these guys, young guys with guns, raising them up in the air and their index fingers, those who don't have guns. And if you love and support martyrs, if you love and support these terrorists who are killing Jews, killing innocent civilians, raise your gun and your finger. And then he goes on and said, jihad is our path, the Quran is our constitution, Allah Akbar, Allah is our goal. And then they even praise the terrorists several of these terrorists who committed recent terrorist attacks in Israel. May your hand be blessed. Oh, I'm not going to say his name. We're not going to give any credibility to this terrorist, but this is the guy who shot and killed 3 people in Tel Aviv in April. And then he goes on and says, you who trample the heads of the criminals underfoot. And then he goes on and says, oh, and then he mentions this other terrorist, I'm also not going to mention, and this is the guy who shot 4 people in Bnei Barak, also in April, maybe early May there. He said, victory is the fate of those who have faith. I am from Jenin. So this is just a brief illustration of what is going on and like how these Palestinians are taught such hate and why they go out and commit these terrorist attacks against Jews and against Israelis. Really shows what we're dealing with and the sides we're dealing with. Palestinians, the Palestinian terrorists, their leadership are corrupting and brainwashing the children, the young people. And then Israel is obviously keeping their citizens safe and trying to combat this terrorism. Real quick on the government. Prime Minister Yair Lapid opened his first cabinet meeting yesterday as the prime minister. It's going to take a little bit of getting used to say that Prime Minister Yair Lapid. He talked about some of his goals for the next several months until elections. Seems like he was kind of laying it out for his cabinet. He said, quote, our goal, that of this entire table in the coming months will be to manage the government as if elections were not being held. The citizens of Israel are entitled to a government that functions uninterruptedly. This is what I expect from my fellow ministers. And then he lays out the education crisis cannot wait. Budgets for hospitals cannot be postponed. The Iranians, Hamas, and Hezbollah will not wait. We need to take action against them with determination in every arena. And this is exactly what we are doing. He goes on and says, this government will continue to act for the good of the country's citizens, just as it has done throughout the past year. We will make decisions, we will take action, and we will continue to enhance the economic, diplomatic, and security strength of Israel. So this is kind of like his first speech to his cabinet, laying out their goals for the next coming months. So we will definitely see and hope that he will not take any drastic measures that will be that'll be harsh on Israel's security or be bad for Israel's security or anything for the nation of Israel. He has some left-leaning political views, so we hope that he will not lean too far that way. And fun fact for the day, guys, Uber announces that they are returning to the Israeli market. Uber Technologies announced Sunday morning, just yesterday, that it is returning to Israel after several years of unsuccessfully attempting to break into the Israeli market. During its initial phases of operation, Uber says that they will operate using licensed taxis, and they will not be offering the option as what is known as Uber X, where private individuals are able to double as taxi drivers. They made a statement. They said the CEO of Uber Israel said that together with the Ministry of Transportation and taxi drivers, we will be key partners in combating congestions on the country's roads. We intend to harness Uber's technology to increase the number of people choosing the option of shared taxis, especially during peak hours, to help ease road congestion and reduce the use of private cars. So they're hopefully going to be adding their fleet to the taxi fleet here in Israel, encouraging people to take shared rides, making the prices more affordable so people can take that option rather than take their own private car. They can enjoy a shared ride with other people with these Uber taxis and other taxi companies as well. And hopefully cut down on the congestion right now through rush hour, peak hours across Israel. Really, really bad traffic. So hopefully that'll ease the situation up here. Fun fact for the day. Guys, if you enjoyed today's show, make sure and subscribe. Go ahead and subscribe. Click the button right here on YouTube. Also click the like button, thumbs up. Really helps the show. We really, really appreciate it. If you're listening on a podcast platform, again, follow us, write us a review, and come back every day for more daily news from Israel. Also, we have a video every Monday. The Israel Guys Daily video is coming to YouTube. But if you want to catch the video every single day, we're putting it on our Israel Guys app. The link will be in the description below. Go ahead and download that. It's our social media app telling you all about what's happening in Israel, and you can get involved and post as well. So go ahead and check that out. But remember that as Christians, our mission is to stand unconditionally with the land and people of Israel. I'm Josiah Hilton, and this is the Israel Guys Daily.